Hello and welcome to Gaia Geographica, a podcast about geography and the environment. My name is Amanda and today's episode is going to be about Bitcoin mining. It's been a while since I've posted, so come along with me on my forest preserve walk while I give you the lowdown on what I have learned. I was going to make a video on Erin Brockovich's data center map. However, the mosquitoes are like brutal, and apparently I just brought lunch to them. So, Erin Brockovich has created an open source map for users to upload when they have data centers in their area, and she is researching and doing advocacy work around the environmental impacts of data centers. If you don't know who Erin Brockovich is, a quick Google search will probably lead you to the movie where Julia Roberts portrayed her in the film, where Erin Brockovich, she is an environmental paralegal. So when I first saw this data center map, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really freaking cool. First of all, because I love the movie Erin Brockovich. I work in environmental consulting, so literally we do soil testing, we do groundwater testing. I map all of the data, I map the plumes, so all of that is definitely up my alley. So when I saw this in the news or online, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna make a video about this. So thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, planning, thinking of what I'm gonna say, and I looked at the map, and I found a data center that's not that far away from me. So I was gonna go there and film, and then a couple of days later on Porn Company, they interviewed Erin Brockovich. So I kind of got scooped by Christiane Amanpour, and that's freaking cool. She can scoop me any day. So if you haven't checked out that episode, I believe it's available on the Porn Company YouTube channel, and I'll drop the link below. Check that out. But it is a great segue into two things. So one, this week is the Esri user conference. Esri is the biggest GIS software platform in the industry, and this week is their annual user conference. I get to attend the conference virtually, which I am super stoked about. And so that starts in a couple of hours. So I'm really grateful that work is allowing me to attend this virtual conference. And I feel like I'm in grad school again. It's super awesome. So this week is the Esri user conference. I might give some updates on that, but that is the GIS conference, which is what this online map is. It is an outlet, a function of GIS, which I think is so cool, which is why I was going to make a video about it, but the information is out there. I will leave the link below. Check that out. Without further ado, let's go into the actual topic of this video, which is data mining. Not data mining. That's grad school stuff. Crypto mining, which I also love, by the way. So crypto mining, Bitcoin mining. I did a deep dive into this research a couple of weeks ago. I was super interested in it. The information out there is it's dicey. It's definitely a gatekept platform. While you can find a lot of videos explaining Bitcoin and explaining pool mining and explaining the actual rigs, through doing my research on this topic, I have come to the conclusion that it is 100% a gatekept mining operation, and rightfully so. And here's why. So there were only a set amount of Bitcoins manufactured, my air quotes, manufactured, right? Every 10 minutes, a Bitcoin block is added to the Bitcoin blockchain. Okay, by the year 2140, every Bitcoin that is ever to be in circulation will then be in circulation. So after 2140, no more new Bitcoin. Can you still mine Bitcoin? Yes, because you mine for transaction fees on top of Bitcoin now. So by the year 2140, you will be mining Bitcoin for transaction fees alone. That being said, the price of Bitcoin fluctuates astronomically with the market, whatever that may be, right? So today, the current price of Bitcoin is like 62K. It has been up as high as, I think, somewhere between 1 and 200K. It was up to 64K yesterday, which was the highest it's been in a few weeks, and now it's back down to 62. It was down to 59 a couple of days ago. So the price of Bitcoin, or the value of Bitcoin, fluctuates based on things such as geopolitics, right? So this incessant, ridiculous war with the Islamic Republic that unfortunately is not making any headway in actually changing the regime, which it should have, or rather, which I would have liked it to, and I think most everybody wanted it to, and because it's not, it's like ridiculous. So anyway, because of that, people were shifting their value from Bitcoin into I forget what they were shifting it into from Bitcoin, but it was shifted away from Bitcoin, which is why the price of Bitcoin has dropped. Will it stay low? Doubtful. I mean, so if my calculations are correct, then I have cracked the Bitcoin code from an understanding, a place of understanding and a place of knowledge. Do I have a Bitcoin? I do not. Not yet. Do I have Satoshis? I do. What are Satoshis, you ask? Satoshis are the actual cryptocurrency. Everyone says Bitcoin. Why? Because it's like, so the Satoshi is like the penny of Bitcoin. Okay? And I could make a video, and I probably will make a video explaining the details of Bitcoin, more of the information on Bitcoin, from like a very micro level. This is a high level overview of Bitcoin. So Satoshis are like the penny of Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is now valued at, I forget, one Bitcoin is, if you do Bitcoin mining and you solve a Bitcoin block, you get 3.125 Bitcoin. This is really close to pi, right? It's almost pi, just 3.14. Feel like that was an opportunity missed. But anyway, it has to be divisible by the Satoshis, because Satoshi is the actual currency. But instead of saying like I have a bajillion Satoshis, you say I have a Bitcoin, which is worth now 62K. When you mine a block successfully as a solo miner, you get 3.125 Bitcoin, which the price fluctuates based on the value of Bitcoin at that time, at the time that you mine it, and then at the time that you sell it, which is why a lot of miners hoard their Bitcoin, because the price is low and it will go up. I know nothing about the stock market. I still don't know anything about the stock market, but I did research Bitcoin a couple of weeks ago, and it's really cool. Why? It's okay. So really, the coolest part about Bitcoin, and this is why I think it's fabulous and why I'm really into it, is because it is the grassroots of currency. Literally. There is no other grassroots currency in our neoliberal capitalistic society that functions. This is the only one, is cryptocurrency. Which is why it's so cool. Okay, so it's decentralized, right? So because I have now got a Bitcoin miner, I am part of this decentralized network of verifying currency and adding value to that currency. Because now, since Bitcoin is still being minted, whenever anyone hits a block, that block gets added to the blockchain, and a Bitcoin is then released into the market, into the ethers. Because it's not, it's a bunch of numbers. It's a string, it's a hash number. Well, a hash is number, so it's a hash code. Hash is the pound sign, and pound sign means number, for those of you who are still young. So the decentralized aspect of Bitcoin is why. So that's one part of why. That's why I jumped on board to being part of this process. So I am now actively part of this decentralized currency verification network that is global. Like, it's so fucking cool. And the fact that it's a tech thing, the fact that so you don't have to understand it 100% to plug in a rig and hook into a pool. But myself, I was like, I need to understand this before I do all of that. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel like a poser, okay? So I put in the work, I figured it all out, and now I'm actively part of this process. So I really like that I get to hook up tech gadgets and monitor fluctuations and see what my tera hash rate is, see how many blocks I've helped with, see what the efficiency of my Bitcoin miner is, and then keep an eye on that, right? Because eventually it's gonna get something. Has it gotten anything yet? No, because the pool that I'm hooked into is still waiting to find it. We're still hashing to hit the next block for this pool. But once that happens, if my calculations are correct, if my math is accurate, then this is an incredibly worthwhile and financially advantageous venture, which is 100% gatekept by everybody involved, which is odd. I mean, I get it, because money, because everybody wants money, everybody wants more money, but it is a decentralized network, which means it's a grassroots network, which means it really should not be gatekept. However, the caveat with that is that if you can decipher the information, if you can figure out then it is not gatekept. But when people talk about it, they talk about it they just kind of go in a loop and give information that is like not totally accurate to kind of keep your head spinning. But once you get it, once you understand it, then you can, rewatch some of these videos of people talking about it and explaining it and go, no. Like, I call bullshit on that. I mean, but that's just, like, it's gatekept, I guess, just if you don't understand it. Once you understand it, then you're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. However, I'm also a teacher by trade. I've been teaching since I was 16 years old. I started teaching dance when I was 16. I've taught in academia. I've taught at the college and undergraduate level, as well as teaching dance. So I am really good at taking a whole bunch of different information and translating that to a variety of different audiences, right? I primarily taught kids ballet and hip hop, like 7 to 12 years old. That was my favorite age to teach. And so with that, I was able to relay the technicality and the physics involved in ballet to kids going into college and teaching in grad school. At the teaching undergraduates in grad school, I was able to take information and translate that to a college level audience. That being said, as a teacher by trade, I want to tell you, I want to explain this, I want to make this accessible, right? So, my plan is to have to uphold the knowledge behind the reasoning for the gatekeeping, but also disseminate that knowledge so that you can understand it, you can grasp this concept, and then you are then an elite into the Bitcoin industry. So, if that sounds good, give this a thumbs up. Drop me a comment below. Let me know if you would like to hear an in-depth explanation of Bitcoin, either the functionality of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin mining process, my rig setup. I took some images. I think I have some photos I took of setting up my Bitcoin. I can go through the process of getting your first Bitcoin miner, hooking into a pool, all the components involved, getting your on-network Bitcoin wallet, which I have, and then transferring it to cold storage, which is my next topic for myself to get gadget-wise. I am also thinking about how to expand this myself. So my thought initially is that because it just seems so like duh to me, like the whole, like the mining process, not just the mining process, but Bitcoin in general, like I could disseminate this information, I think, in a way that would be incredibly accessible to a myriad of people. I might want to offer that service and create like a sub pool or something, and offer to bring people into my mining operation. And I was thinking I would do like an educational thing, and then charge a service for that, and then like do the setup, like set up the miners. So this would all have to be locally, right? So if I can drive there, then I can hook you into my platform, and then teach you about it so that you can do it, you can take it over and do it yourself. That is what I've been thinking about the past couple of days, because it was really daunting when I stepped into understanding the world of Bitcoin, because all of the information is thrown about in loops such that gatekeeping is continued. So I am just offering to like tell you in greater detail that might be easier to understand about the keys for the gate, basically. So let me know if that is also something people would be interested in. So here is now where I'm going to be talking about my mining setup. I purchased a Bitaxe Gamma 601, I believe. And I also grabbed a BlueWallet Bitcoin currency wallet. With your wallet, you want to make sure that you never put your wallet information, your words, on your phone. You don't want to take a picture of it. You want to write it down on paper, somewhere safe, right? Old school, like pen and paper, and then keep that somewhere safe. So that is another aspect of this that I think is really awesome, is that as much as this is a extremely tech-oriented endeavor, the way to protect it is by writing it down on paper and keeping that paper safe, which I think is a beautiful way to retain the understanding that piece of paper and pen is still, pencil and paper, still mightier than the sword. No, but like, yes, we have tech, yes, we have computers, yes, we have internet. However, pencil, pen, and paper, that is where it's going to be safe. I think that's a fabulous takeaway. So let me know what you think. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to find out more about the Bitcoin process. And let me know, have you started mining? What are your thoughts on other videos that explain mining? And has this been helpful? Has this been translated in a way that is somewhat, easy to understand? I did not get into the nitty-gritty of it. This is just a high-level overview. However, in subsequent videos, I think I will, if that is something that people are interested in. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, drop me a comment, and I will see you in the next video.